It should go without saying that here in 2024, gravity knives have been extremely popular. On one hand, you've got the Reccomended, extremely fast to deploy, extremely fidgety, but many people have exclaimed some displeasure at just how much blade play, wiggle, and jiggle occurs in this knife. And on the other hand, we've got the Reccomended RT Swordfish, much more refined, much more solid, a lot less wiggle and jiggle, but it doesn't deploy nearly as fast. So somewhere in between the Exo and the Swordfish, there lies a gap in which people want it to be less wiggly and jiggly, but also deploy in a fast, secure manner. And the first to answer the call is Reccomended. Reccomended has recently released a brand new gravity knife, and it's said to be the best of both worlds. Let's go ahead and find out if that's true, because today we're going to be talking about the Reccomended RT Sharp Leopard. Let's go.
This is Sparta!
Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, make sure to smash the like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, and I'm super excited because in my hands today we've got the latest and greatest gravity knife from our friends over at Reccomended. And a big thank you to Reccomended for sending this my way for review. You may have seen other videos talking about this or other people in the community talking about this. This is the Reccomended RT Sharp Leopard. Gravity knives have gained a lot of recent popularity, and the repopularization of this knife design style started with Reccomended. Reccomended came out with the Reccomended Exo and then the Reccomended XOM, and then they came out with like 10 different gravity knife models, and it seemed like they kind of had a chokehold on the market, but there was a huge demand for more fit and finish, for tighter tolerances, and so Reccomended answered the call with the RT Swordfish. This was their very first gravity knife iteration. In fact, this is version 2 of the first gravity knife iteration they did, and this one has almost no rattle. If it's there, it's imperceptible. However, you'll notice that it's not as free-flowing as, for example, the Reccomended Exo. And so then people are like, now we can complain about the fact that it doesn't free float open like the Reccomended Exo. The Reccomended Exo is the best. I don't know what it is. I think people just honestly want something to complain about. Now we've got the RT Sharp Leopard, and you might be wondering, okay, what's the damage on this bad boy, and what's different than the Swordfish? If I already have a Swordfish, should I get an RT Sharp Leopard? We're going to aim to answer that question today, starting off with the spec sheet. The RT Sharp Leopard comes in at 6.8 inches overall, so just shy of 7 inches. 2 3/4 of that is going to be this M390 pearlescent finished blade. Now, you can, of course, get this in fully blacked out DLC as well, but that is entirely up to you. That version costs $285 versus this one, which is $255. We've got beautifully milled titanium handle scales, and you might notice this texturized pattern on the handle scales. That is 3D milling. Yeah, that is fully texturized, and it feels great. It adds a nice little bit of grip, but it's not harsh on the hands. We've got all of these different milling patterns, and it kind of makes this look like a lightsaber, and honestly, I'm a-okay with that. This is a fully enclosed design. We have a 3D milled titanium backspacer, and then T6 body screws and pocket clip screws as well. Something that Reccomended does that I really like is that they include these slips, these leather slips, and these are genuine leather. You can tell because when you open the box, you get a really nice whiff of that leather smell, and it just kind of adds to the classy nature of what they have going on here. Deployment happens by thrusting this switch upwards, and then there's some wires on the inside here that draw these wings out, and once deployed, the wings act as a shelf for these notches in the blade, and it holds it in the open position. Now, is there blade play? Yeah, there's blade play, and the more free floating the blade is, the more blade play there is. And this one is way more free floating than the RT swordfish. And so I would say that there's a bit more blade play than what we got in the swordfish. Now that is a trade-off, because people still wanted there to be not a whole lot of wiggle and jiggle. So let's go ahead and compare. In the closed position, is there anything rattling around? I would say that there's a little tiny imperceptible amount, but far less than what you're going to see out of something like the Riot Exo. And that's great. That's great because this kind of feels like an in-between measure. You know, if you wanted it to be a little less tight on the tolerances than the swordfish, but you also wanted it to be more free-floating than the swordfish on deployment and retraction, this is going to do it for you. I actually think that this is extremely fidgety because you get more of the smooth, relentless gravity action of the Riot Exo, but also some of the nice tight tolerances of the swordfish. Now, this is going to be a lot smaller than the swordfish. And so if you're one of those people looking at this saying, well, I just want it to be bigger, here's your sign. Go get a Reccomended RT swordfish. They're still available. You can get one. Check out my video on those. They're great. I really like that knife. If you wanted a smaller version, if you wanted something to be a little bit smaller than the swordfish, this is great. If you wanted one that had a little more free-floating, fidgety action, this is great. And it feels nice and solid. It feels like the gravity knife of the future. In all the terms, this definitely feels like a step up in quality from what we're used to seeing, and I think that that is absolutely fantastic. Now, do I love everything about this? No. There is one thing that I do want to mention that I think is actually a bit of a step backwards. On the swordfish, because this is a perfectly symmetrical design, you can actually switch these panels around and turn the blade around and make this left hand carry friendly, which I thought was extremely innovative and also rather cool. Unfortunately, you cannot do that on the RT Sharp Leopard because, as you can see, it is not in fact symmetrical. So lefties, I'm sorry. As of right now, there is not a left-handed version, and the pocket clip does not swap over to the other side. Something that's not necessarily a negative, but I think would be rather cool, is if instead of having this blank space right here, if we could have a carbon fiber insert, kind of like how we saw here on the RT Swordfish. Having that extra pop of color, I think, is really, really cool. So while it's not a negative, it's just something that I think is an opportunity. We've got space right here, and I think it'd be really neat if at the very least we had an option for a carbon fiber insert or some kind of extra material there. It would really just round things out nicely. Ergos in the hand feel great. It feels nice and solid. I don't have any issue that way, or in a reverse grip, it feels rather good as well. I have what I would consider to be medium to large size hands, and my hands get a full 4-finger grip on this, no problem. So while this isn't as big as the RT Swordfish or as something like the Riot XOM, I still feel like it's plenty big enough for your regular everyday EDC tasks. And for $255, we get a lot of innovation here. We get innovation, we get premium materials with titanium, we get M390, we get a really cool gravity knife design. And I think that for the money, I don't know if this can be beat, but in case you disagree with me, I want you to let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. Have you picked up an RT Sharp Leopard? Are you planning on it? Or for some reason, is that a pass for you? Let me know. If you liked the video and you watched it this far and you haven't done so yet, please feel free to click on the subscribe button that's about to pop up in the corner. But if you just want to watch some more awesome knife and EDC content, feel free to click on one of the videos that pops up next.